and this become countrywide. Standard of living falls sharply as household saving also eroded to meet the healthcare costs. Regarding the structural implication, basically the country or the company need to replace lost staff or civil servant in public service. They also lost the experienced labor, lower quality of work. So there are some problems in the human resource planning of various sectors to maintain essential public services. This including also police service and military service. The need to keep economic development on track and to ensure national security become important basically. And there is also a need to mitigating gender dimension of the epidemic, because the data showing that the disease affect female more than male. The private sector ability, they are also affected. So their ability to compete with large numbers of sex workers has been reduced drastically. National economy basically affected due to the illness and death of producers in diversion of resources to care. So the cost to national economy include absenteeism of the workers, laborers, replacement of workers. These are problems because to find the skilled one not easy. Reduced productivity, family pensions become increasing because of the death or retirement due to the disease, and rising costs of medical treatment also for the private company. For the healthcare system itself, the disease also debilitating, because even before the epidemic, actually the healthcare system are inadequate. The epidemic creates enormous demands of the healthcare because of the disease and also the complication, straining health budgets and health insurance scheme. So the healthcare worker also suffer and die. So not only in other sector, in the health sector also, they have deficit of the healthcare workers because of the disease. The supply of available health services and hospital resources are depleted while the demand actually increases. And they are rising healthcare costs, not only for HIV/AIDS, but also to the opportunistic infections that accompany the disease. And also there are competing allocation of health budget in the public sector. That means many components of the health budget should be allocated for treatment of HIV/AIDS patients. This is the example of the direct cost. So this is medical expenditure of AIDS and non-AIDS deaths in Tanzania. If you take a look and compare expenditure on medical care for HIV/AIDS, the mean is about $70. If you compare with other disease, only 41. So that means HIV/AIDS quite expensive. Injuries only 28. Expenditure on funeral because of the special treatment for HIV patient, it costs also $44. But for other disease only $31. Injuries 38. So total expenditure basically for HIV/AIDS patient about 114, but disease only 17.2, and injuries only $66. Now we see the impact on the education. Basically, there are some hindrance for maintaining or achieving universal primary education. So many African countries already proclaim about universal primary education, but with this one, basically, children are forced to take care their parents or their member of the families who are sick due to HIV/AIDS. So failure to afford children's educational requirement costs also because of the parents lost their work or they cannot afford to work. Weakens the education system and decrease school attendance. This is due to the caring of the sick family member, or they have to take over domestic duties like taking care of livestock and the other things, or go to the farm. Decrease the quality of education since it's compromised by the absenteeism and mortality of affected teachers. So this is affected also teachers in the education sector and uses of less experienced teachers to replace the dead experienced teachers. So if we see the economic growth basically, in general, there are annual reduction of GDP from 2 to 4% of gross domestic product. Of course, the reduction in GDP ini in the daily living people cannot feel it. So actually more appropriate than GDP if we look for the larger negative impact on welfare, on family welfare, and also development like children education, nutrition status of children, or health status of the family. This caused the lower investment basically in human capital because many children cannot go to school. And also this exacerbate income inequality because the poor become poorer also. So basically member of the family with the HIV patients, they become poorer because of the spending more money for taking care of the member of the family. So increase poverty. So the evidence saying that actually the epidemic has continued to spread, but not less quickly in countries where national policies have taken the AIDS epidemic seriously. So we see that those countries who are seriously manage the epidemic, they gain something, like Brazil. Brazil is famous for fighting to produce their own retroviral, antiretroviral drugs. Mexico, Senegal, Thailand. Thailand is famous for the condom promotion. And Uganda. So in those countries, basically, now the epidemic become flattening. But in other countries, it is still increasing. So countries basically need to combat the AIDS epidemic more urgently to prevent progressive economic collapse. Because if this situation is maintaining like this, they will not be stand for decades or for generations. Impact on economic growth and development basically added with the direct impact of increased mortality and morbidity on the lives of the poor. So we know basically those belong to the poor quintile of the population. They have more morbidity and mortality. So this impact of the disease HIV/AIDS on economic growth and development also have direct impact, and this makes the disease also a threat to poverty alleviation efforts. So it will wipe out the effort to alleviate poverty. If we see like the example from Uganda HIV prevention program, basically what are they doing? So we can see that they are quite successful basically. Number one, basically they have a strong political commitment. So from the president to other official of the country, they have a strong political commitment, and they try to get rid of discrimination to patients. And also they have some intervention to empower women and girls so they can reject the risk or the high risk of the disease. They have a strong focus also on youth, so they have a very big campaign on health education for youth. They have also active effort to fight stigma and discrimination. So basically they try to avoid the discrimination in work and in school and other things. They emphasize also on open communication about HIV/AIDS with all components in the community. And they engage also religious leaders so that those leaders also can help in the campaign and communicating about the truth about the disease. They also create confidential, voluntary counseling and testing intervention. This is very good actually, because by this thing actually people more aware about the condition. And also they have some emphasis on the STI, the sexual transmitted infection control and prevention, because all studies saying that infection due to sexual transmitted diseases are very important basically in the transmission of HIV/AIDS. So basically we learn some lessons of this from these countries and also from other literature. The effective suicide program had features in common, namely high-level political leadership, active engagement of the civil society and religious leaders. So basically, we should engage actively all civil society, all private sector, all NGOs and religious leaders in the fight against HIV/AIDS. Population-based programs basically to change social norms and also promote safe behavior. So this is also a big program. Condom promotion. This is the one that in some countries they have problem in doing this. But in those countries that they are successful, like Brazil and Thailand, this also create changes. Actually, reduce the risks significantly. The other thing about surveillance control at STD, because many countries also not doing well in the surveillance STD, because basically STD patients they prefer going to the private sectors, private doctors, who didn't report basically about the cases. Also programs to combat stigma and discrimination, because by doing this, basically people will be more aware about the situation and about how to avoid that. And then intervention targeting key bridge population, like in our country, Indonesia, basically we are targeting also those, we call it high-risk groups. But in those countries where the prevalence of the disease is very high, basically the key bridge population become very, very many also. And the last one, extension of mass media, IEC. So basically, we need to develop IEC that is cost effective. Now we are talking about mitigation of the impact. So basically, it's not easy, this one. An effective policy framework is critical for harmonizing and focusing on the national response to the impact. So basically, we need a policy framework where it's effective and can focus for the response of the impact. The comprehensive national policy on mitigation of the impact, this will provide the framework. And within this framework, all stakeholders will be involved to mitigate. So mitigation will work not only by the government, but with all shareholders or stakeholders. Existing sectoral policies need to be adjusted because one sector alone cannot do many things, and to be in line with the national policy. Like we are in Indonesia, we have National Commission for HIV/AIDS basically. I think in many countries also they have the same intersector commission to fight the disease. To mitigate the impact to the social economy, basically we need to engage also civil society, private sectors, because this is important for the success of the intervention. Advocacy initiatives need to be developed and also implemented to increase awareness of the disease impact. And also there is a need for comprehensive mitigation action by policymakers and also by the general population. We know that the human manpower, the manpower become very important because loss of the skilled manpower, educated manpower will affect the whole sector in the country. Regarding the future impact, basically the epidemic will depend on the educated people about dangers of the virus and the behavior change. Because if we keep people uninformed about the danger of the virus, so the epidemic will keep increasing, and the people will not try to change their behavior, behavior. The second one, basically finding effective ways to prevent the virus from spreading further. So in some countries condom will be effective, but in some countries probably other thing, like the role of the religious leaders. Discovering new medicine also important. We know the developed countries, they work hard to find the new medicine to control and if possible to cure basically. And also to try to discover the new treatment protocol which will be effective. Because basically now we know that by giving antiretrovirus medicine, we can prevent basically in some part the transmission, like mothers to babies, and also prolong the life of the patients. And we need to mobilize also the financial and human resources to accomplish this task. So basically this is a huge work. And we know not only HIV/AIDS, we are working also on other emerging diseases like the avian flu and now swine flu. So basically 8 years ago, the General Assembly of World Health Organization declared about the commitment on HIV/AIDS. They said basically the global HIV/AIDS epidemic, to its devastating scale and impact, constitutes a global emergency and one of the most formidable challenges to human life and dignity, as well as to the effective enjoyment of human rights, which undermine social and economic development throughout the world and affect all levels of society, national, community, family, and individual. So basically, management of this disease will be related also to preserving the human rights. It is clear that people affected by HIV/AIDS have difficulties accessing basic services and also protecting their rights, including access to healthcare, shelter, education, food, and land rights. So not in all countries that medicine are free for them. And basically they are already poor and become poorer because of the disease. HIV/AIDS undermine development across all sectors of the country. It wipes out the whole things like the achievement of the child survival, achievement in immunization, achievement in basic services. Community organization and local institutions need to be strengthened and empowered to be able to cope with the impact of the HIV/AIDS, including caring and provide education for orphans, because the growing number of orphans create a problem of those families who has to take care, basically the near relative of them, but also problem of the education and also of the cost of rearing them. So basically the social impact of HIV/AIDS on livelihood and social security at a social level in communities, family, individual need to be assessed and quantified. We know in some communities, like in some part of our country, Indonesia, also the prevalence quite high. We know that, but we haven't assessed thoroughly about the livelihood and social security of the community. So HIV/AIDS basically will impact on education through lowering of demand for education. So basically those children cannot go for education because they have to take care the member of families who are sick, or going to the farm, or taking care of the livestock for their own living of the family. Burden on the healthcare system due to the epidemic also increasingly obvious, and this will become growing and growing. Mobility and tourism increasing the risk of the transmission, and we know in the global situation like this, we cannot prevent mobility and tourism. Despite the low impact at macroeconomic level, a strong political commitment to fight against the disease is crucial, basically, in preventing the spread of the disease. Because in the long run, we could see also the impact at the macroeconomic level. So as a conclusion, we can say that the course of this epidemic is not predetermined. But in order to conquer HIV/AIDS, greater efforts and resources will be required. So the eventual course basically depends on how individual, communities, nations, and the world respond to the threat of the disease today and also tomorrow. Thank you for your kind attention.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Suartokosen. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now we come to the discussion session. We will have 3 rounds of discussion. For the first round, I will call comments and questions from University of Diponegoro, University of the Philippines, and University of Sumatera Utara. For the second session, I will invite questions from University of Hasanuddin, University of Gajah Mada, and University of Udayana. The third round, I will invite comments and questions from Kuala Lumpur, from Bangkok, and from University of Indonesia. Okay, now let's come to the first round. I will call first from University of Diponegoro. I hope you can hear us and deliver your question.
Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, we can hear you. Please, you can deliver your question.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Suratman. You have talked about the effective, successful programs to overcome the spread of HIV in Africa. But I want to know about how is the situation in Indonesia, I think Indonesia has ever tried to do many things to overcome HIV, but until now, the number of cases is still high. Thank you very much.
Okay, any other question, Diponegoro? No more. Okay, now let's go to the
Okay,
Philippines.
thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Let's go to the Philippines. University of the Philippines, are you still there? Can you hear us? Is there any questions from you?
We don't have any questions.
No response? Yeah, is there any question from you?
No, we don't have.
You don't have. Okay. Now let's go to the University of Sumatera Utara. Usu, Medan. Can you
we don't
come?
have any question.
Please, can you repeat? Is there any question?
No, we don't have any question for you now.
Okay, you don't have any question. Okay, Pak Suartakosen, we have one question from University of Diponegoro about the control of HIV. How is the situation in Indonesia?
Yeah. Thank you, colleague. This is important question basically. Because the topic is African case, basically, I touch very little about Indonesia. So the current figure from our Disease Control Director General, Ministry of Health, showing keep increasing and in alarming speed actually. This mainly also or majority of those related to the IDU, intravenous drug users basically. So basically, those successful program in Africa, they already show that they need to do many things basically, like starting with strong political commitment. You know, in Indonesia we have problem also with promoting condom even until now, and also make a campaign on VCT, also still very little successful. We try to emphasize on STI control, but of course people prefer going to the private sector, and we still don't know about that situation. So basically, we still have many work to do in Indonesia. And you know, some focus like in West Papua also, they are one of the highest of our country. And we need actually special effort to fight those stigma in the community, because this is still very important in our community. So basically, this is not a good condition in our country. If we take a look our neighbor like Thailand, they are already flattening or decreasing about the epidemic, and we are not. If we go like to the prison, in some prison in East Indonesia, more than 80% of the prisoners are positive for HIV. So basically, we should learn from those countries who are already successful. Thank you.
Okay, so we still have so many things to do, Pak Suartakosen, yes, in Indonesia. Is it? Okay, let's go to